now it goes across. So whether it's criminal or civil, it's defendant. In fact, for civil, we have so many other names. We have plaintiff, respondent. And we don't need to go into those areas. But that's the reality. And again, come September 16, I should call it physiology. After this criminal investigation is going to also become extinct. We shall not be talking about committal proceedings. So when you say criminal investigation, it's like we are still in the old act, 1965, and we will leave you there. I go say I'm not going to the talk. Which is the talk about? What kind of criminal investigation? And you know what obtains when we talk about criminal investigations? As to what exists now.
Yes, sir, my voice, sir. Okay. The more you press, the more you...
Oh, the more.
I'm not as small.
You don't have small, let me buy.
Let me buy, yes.
So we. Ladies and gentlemen, as a mark of deference, can we all stand up to receive our. Sit down. Thank you. Sit down. This program is officially called to order. We've already done the prayers. We never wanted to this time, so we did the prayers. And before we had distinguished personalities on the high table. But before we move on to the welcome address or the welcome statement, which is going to come from the Director of Training, let me acknowledge the presence of our distinguished personalities on the high table. Of course, we have the Chief Minister in the person of Dr. Leone is here with us. No, the clap. Why we go to? And then we also have in our presence the Honorable Minister, the Attorney General and Honorable Minister of Justice is also here with us. And then we also have in our midst the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Sarah Bombasi. Equally so, we have the Director of Public Prosecution. And then we have the retired Chief Justice, Justice Nicholas Mamak. And last, when we have the Director of Training, AIG and Mustafa Kamara. then we have the head of CIA who is standing in for the Director of Crime Services, ACP Leone. We also have the Principal of the State Council, he's also here with us. So without wasting time, let me give the opportunity to the Director of Training to welcome all of us, including my very self.
The Chief Minister, the Attorney General, the Minister of Justice, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the DPP, the DIG, former Chief Justice, Justice Brahma, the Principal State Council, participants, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Inspector General of Police, the DIG, members of the Executive Management Board, rank and file of the Sierra Police, and the Training Directorate, I want to start by welcoming the Chief Minister here this morning. You are most welcome, sir. So, this lends credence to the fact that this is a very important training session for us to have high-profile people here this morning. This is the first of its kind. Is that not so? Yes. So let us put our hands together for him. I also want to welcome the Attorney General, who is also a very busy person, but we have decided to put aside all the other official assignments to be here today. We are very grateful for that, and let us put our hands together for him. I also want to take this special opportunity to welcome the DPP. He is the person that you people, himself and his office, have and will continue to be working with at this critical transition period. So let us also put our hands together for him. I want to welcome the DIG. He is also a very busy person. The fact that he is here this morning indicates that this is a very important training session. So I want us to put our hands together. I also want to welcome the former Chief Justice, Justice Brahma. He is also a very important person because he has served this nation very well. So let us put our hands together for him. And I also want to welcome the Principal State Council and to welcome all of you and the officials from the office of the DPP or law officers who are over there. You are most welcome. And I want to welcome all of you. Today is a very important session, and we are going to go through 3 days very important training session that will help you going forward in your service delivery. You know, CID or investigators as well as prosecutors are very important in the criminal justice system, because you are the people who initiate investigations and follow those files where we think they should be forwarded And then when it comes to prosecution again, it is you people. So by and large, you are very important along the line. And if you look at the theme out there, it is enhancing the capacity of our investigators with specific reference to the new CPA. They will give you deep, in-depth information about the content. But what I will tell you in brief is that it's going to be a significant shift from the old CPA that you know and this one. And therefore, it is your responsibility to try as much as possible today, henceforth, to learn as much as you can. Because knowledge is power, so that you'll be able to discharge your duties excellently. I also want to advise that even though it has not been officially launched, you make an extra effort to have the draft copies. That will help you also going forward. So, without much ado, I want to welcome all members of the high table and all of you here to this 3 days important learning session. Once again, you are all welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Director of TM, and we've heard from him. Of course, his description of this training, he said it is first of its kind. And indeed, if you look at the galaxy of facilitators we have, it is really first of its kind. And he also spoke about criminal justice system, which is tripartite, where we have the police as the first line, and then we have the judiciary, and then we have the correctional service. We have a very important role to play, especially in the area of conducting criminal investigations. He alluded to that one as well. He also alluded to the theme, which is enhancing the capacity of investigators on the new Criminal Procedure Act. And by way of edification, the short title of the new CPA reads as follows. It's been an act to repeal and replace the Criminal Procedure Act 1965 to provide for new procedures relating to summary trials, committal proceedings, trials of indictment, alternative sentences, and to provide for other related matters. So we may now see how important this training is going to be for you. On this note, let me move on to item number 4, statements. Item number 3, I'm inviting the head of CID to give us overview of the school. ACP Anjijalo. Most welcome.
The moderator, the Chief Minister, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, my Lord, the former Chief Justice, Justice Bramad, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Director of Training, the Principal State Counsel, senior government officers here present, colleagues, members of the fourth estate, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I must say that I am a happy person standing in front of you this morning to participate on this all-important training. There's a saying which goes, if you cannot do big things, do small things big. I recall during the planning stages of this program, principal from director of training, principal state council, to DPP, to DIG, and in that circle many times, there was a point I thought this program is not going to materialize. So, I am a lucky person, and I knew that the chief minister and the attorney general would grace this program. I could have prepared better. But thankfully, we are here, and I must confess that this program is now bigger than me. But I'm particularly excited and happy for the fact that it is the architect, former Chief Justice, Justice Brahman, that is going to deliver this program. As I am informed that he is the architect of this program. So I'm very much happy. But planning is not always easy. Now, just a quick background. We've been coming to effect of the new criminal procedure Act 2016 September. And as the lead beneficiary and accountable officer for the CID, who take praise when things go well and take responsibilities when they go bad, I am really, really happy that this program is going to ensure that we reposition ourselves to meet the demands of the new act. We have been used to one way of doing things for a very, very long time, since 1965. And now we are going to have what I call solid change. And as the man in charge, thinking of that alone is a little bit worrisome, if not scary. But we can get over this if we get the requisite knowledge, the requisite skills and training. That in this case will come from the architect. And once we get this training delivered to us, and in this way, with this kind of importance that is attached to it, I'm sure we are going to be in a better place to deliver. I don't think I'm the correct person to give the overview, but this is what I have as a way of background. And I'm sure if this training is packed with a manual, will continue to serve as trainers after this first session. But by way of background, this is what we have. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to be retooled so that we meet the challenges of this new act. Thank you very much.
SP Aluja was one of few words. I know he speaks very little, but most times his statements are heavily loaded. You know, we have heard several times somebody say, I do not know this law exists. I do not know the law exists. But I also used to hear somebody say, ignorantia juris non decussat. That if you are ignorant of the law, there is no excuse. Because when you read about Long Fuller, who got about the characteristics of law, he said when laws are made, they have to be published. And if they are published, it becomes your responsibility to make reasonable effort to search for them, read them, and understand them. So you cannot claim to say, I'm ignorant of this law. So this is why we are brought here. Like he said, you are the lead beneficiary of the new act. And then we expect to super up, to lead our investigations with fairness with impartiality and with objectivity. On this note, let me now invite the lead facilitator, His Lordship Justice Leone.
Good morning, Honorable Chief Minister, the learned Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the learned Director of Public Prosecutions, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, the Principal State Counsel, the Head of CID. It's a pleasure to be with policemen once again. I started off my life in the Law Officers Department by conducting the training in criminal procedure at the Hastings Training School. This was in 1984 and in 1985. I'm not so sure any of the policemen who were trained there are here. I know Mr. Monu is retired. I know Mr. Charlie is dead. I know there's another officer who's also dead as well. They were all there in 1985, 84 to 85, when myself and Gabriel Bayon conducted the training of police officers. So this is something which the law officers have been doing for quite a while. Ever since the 60s, it has been the duty of law officers to familiarize police officers who are involved in prosecutions with the workings of the criminal procedure in court. Certain changes have been made because of developments in recent years. There's a need to be fairer to both the complainant and the person who comes to contact in conflict with the law. So that's the first underlying theme of the new legislation. Fairness to the complainant, victim, and fairness to the person who's in conflict with the law. The second theme is simplifying the procedure, making it easier for you to prosecute and for the ordinary man in the street to understand what is happening, so much so that even if he's not defended by a legal aid counsel, he can defend himself in court. The third thing is avoiding delays. Whenever it is likely the delay may arise, we eliminate it altogether. For instance, most of you here have conducted criminal investigations, and you know how long it will take. Today you come, one witness available, my Lord or your worship, and then we adjourn for another 2 weeks. Okay, if the person is on remand, you cannot adjourn for more than 8 days, but I understand many magistrates are violating that law. You cannot remand anybody for more than 8 days if you're conducting a criminal investigation. But it happens. So the PI stretches on for 2 years. When I started doing, I remember when I came, there was the exam score case in 1982. Results were cancelled because it was alleged that there was some spying. So there was that. And then there was a series of armed robberies. Any of you remember Paila, the famous armed robber, or Sima Panke? These are the famous armed robbers in the mid-80s, early 80s to mid-80s. And so I was lumbered with the cases which were being brought against them. And what would happen is there were 7 accused in each of these cases. I'd go to court number 1, where the late Joseph Bao was sitting as a principal magistrate. I'll be lucky if I take one witness by 2:30 in the afternoon, and then adjourn for another 2 weeks. And the PI stretched for something like 2 years. And then the case came up in the High Court to expect the witnesses to come forward to prosecute the case in the High Court after such a long time was in itself an enormous task. But that's how it was, and that's how it has remained over the years. Extraordinarily long PIs. So that by the time the case gets to the High Court, the complainant is fed up with it all. Take for instance the stealing of coal. When I was acting as Chief Justice, I advised magistrates to just carry this case. If your phone is stolen, the next thing you do is to buy another phone. So if a case like that goes to a magistrate and then it commits to the High Court, it means your case will come up about a year later. And the outcome was that most complainants did not turn up at all. It was still like cases. I'm sure most of you still hear about that experience. Really. So this is what we try to do in this act. Simplify the procedure, make it much fairer to the victim complainant and to the person who comes into contact with law. So for instance, somebody who makes a complaint and also the potential witness in a case does not necessarily have to give evidence in the magistrate's court if the offense charged is an indictable offense. All he needs to do is to make a statement and then sign the declaration, very much like the declaration you sign when you're doing an affidavit. That is that if he tells a lie or does say something which is true, he will be liable to perjury or to contempt of court. So that's one thing which is new in the Act. The second thing is that there's no more ambush in the criminal procedure. In other words, you must lay your cards on the table before you start. In the magistrate's court as well as in the high court. You cannot proceed with the case in the magistrate's court if you do not file all the statements of the witnesses you intend to call before you start. So it's going to be a tough job for you police officers. I know when we started this process, don't forget we went right around the country. Myself, Justice Commander was on the team, then Justice Hamilton was on the team as well. You know, seeking information about how this thing will work out in practice. Yes, people say, oh, it will be extremely difficult to do that. Yes. So when we had a meeting with the, just skimming over what we've been doing, a meeting with the Bar Association representatives, Ms. Ford was then the president of the Bar Association. It was suggested that we have what we call a man hearing. So if you cannot complete your investigation within the 3-day period stated in section 17, for instance, of the Constitution, you can come back to court for an extension of time. So long as it does not exceed 15 days any one time. This is in some jurisdictions is referred to as the man hearing. Because those who are concerned about the length of time people spend in cells before they actually go to trial, we're also concerned with the fact that investigations take some time, especially in cases of depending on identification of the suspects. These things take time really, and 3 days might be a short time for that sort of thing really. You see, because the Constitution refers to for 10-day period, excusing murder, economic crimes, and the like really. So what those aggravations, strictly speaking, does not fall within that category anymore. So you need more time. But what we're trying to do is to send the everything in the court, come to court, make an application for further remand, so, and at the same time, the person who's the suspect will also have the opportunity of opposing it. Say, for instance, when you complete your investigation, so you want to punish me needlessly. So that's one aspect of the new act. There's several others. Sentencing, for instance, rather than congest the reasons with the people who stole phones, you can suspend the sentence. You can impose a fine. You can impose a conditional discharge. All these things are convictions, really. And if you apply for a visa and you ask whether you've been convicted of an offense involving dishonesty, you have to say yes, irrespective of the fact that you've not been to prison. I know when we went to places like Magoka, it was a new thing to say, I sentence you to 2 years, but you will serve the sentence now, provided you do not commit any other offense or similar offense within the 2-year period, you'll be free to go. So people saying, well, how is it that you say the man has been convicted, there's no sentence, but he's not going to serve the sentence? So I've explained what I've just said to you, the consequences of a criminal conviction for an offense involving dishonesty. And also the offenses under the last year, the offenses of dishonesty. So there you are. There's somewhere, definitely there's a punishment. Somewhere in the future. Watch out what we call the past sentences. There's still been cases of young people wanting to go to study, sometimes to fall in part of the law, but you don't want to spoil all the chances really. God will receive the scholarship. So you depart the sentence. If you're good behavior, we receive reports from you, when you come back, you don't serve your sentence. And things like this really. As I said, we're trying to be fair to not just the victim complainants, but also to the persons who come into conflict with the law. And these are some of the examples. We've abolished the use of the expression accused. It's pointless in this society. Everybody's called a defendant. That's another thing we've done. Really. Now, because we continue the old practice, you can inquire. That is, if the charge is an indictable offense, you can inquire into it in any part of the country. That was the law since 1973. It is still the law. But some offenses have to be tried in the district where unless for some reason or the other, the matter has to be transferred to another district. So this is just an overview of what is in the Act, and we'll speak more about this as we go along. But again, remember that what we're trying to do is to be fair in accordance with the terms of the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1981, both to the victim, complainant, and to the person who comes into conflict with the law. So I rest my case for the time being.
Thank you, sir. We've heard from His Lordship. Of course, you made it very clear that training of police prosecutors, we can have investigators there, it's not new. He made reference to 1984, 1985, and I must state that in 2003, I benefited from that training as well, when I was a prosecutor. Why the Criminal Procedure Act, the new one, is a need to be fairer to both the complainant who is the victim and the person who is in conflict with the law. He said the new CPA made it easier to understand the procedure, that even the layman can represent himself. And that's very good. And that the new CPA is to avoid what we call delays, multiplicity of adjournment for no reason. And then with the new CPA, there is no need for us to have what we call trap and ambush. You have to lay your cards on the table. And you also spoke about sentencing. Of course, the issue of suspended sentence, imposition of fines, and all the rest. Thank you, sir, Mr. Lordship, for the kind statement. If you read Act number 6 of 1991, that is the Constitution, Section 66 provides for the establishment of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. On this note, let me invite our current DPP to make a statement. If you, sir, are most welcome. If you, sir.
Good morning. Please permit me to stand on existing protocols. We are gathered here to mark the end of the road and to commence the beginning of a new journey, which is going to change the practice and procedure of our criminal practice in the next couple of weeks and years. As investigators, you are considered one of the most important sets in this drastic change. I mean, the new CPA. From a practice you have been used to for 60 years. That is about to change. 60 years is indeed the end of the road in the civil service. And you will agree with me that it is symbolic that the Criminal Procedure Act 1965, Act number 32 of 1965, is now retiring at the age of 60 years. The Sierra Leone Police, it seems, as the main investigating authority, and will continue to be so, even in this new dispensation. While I will not question the investigative techniques over the last 60 years, I would love to urge you all to know that going forward, we should recalibrate our joint effort if we were to succeed in the administration of criminal justice under the new CPA. This new legislation comes with greater responsibilities, and unlike the retired CPA, we do not have the luxury to make things right while we're in court. We must get it right before the start of our investigations. You all will agree that the success of the prosecution lies in the quality of the investigations. And unlike the defense, who can wait until the middle or end of a case and determine a line of defense, investigators and prosecutors must have a clear idea right from the start as to the nature of a case and the evidence to rely on. So we don't have the luxury like the defense. Previously, investigators will investigate and say, let us send the file to the office of the Attorney General, expecting the AG and law officers to figure out the evidence. More scary, they will investigate and charge the matter to court without the knowledge and approval of the Attorney General's office. And at the end of the day, when such matters surreptitiously or otherwise find their way to the High Court, the state is left embarrassed because the state is not aware from the outset. With the new CPA, I must admonish you, we do not have short room to manipulate the law or procedure, as we are giving strict guidance as to how matters get committed to the High Court. The procedure are more stricter should a committing magistrate decide to only look at our files and make decisions. The implication of this and so many other committal procedural issues puts investigators into a pivotal role to either make or break a case. You are here today to be reminded of our sacred role as investigators and prosecutors. And you are all I think I'll be audible enough. Hello? And you also to be reminded that prosecutors cannot manufacture evidence. And so if you fail to elicit the evidence during investigations, it will be difficult to go to court. And this is the reason why sometimes when files are sent to the office of the DPP, we say there is not sufficient evidence. It's not a case that there is no evidence, or because we have not done the groundwork. To have said elicit the evidence and not elicit evidence at all costs just because you want to charge a matter. Similarly, the fact that you are investigating a matter should not warrant you to engage in activities that will compromise the evidence and prevent the matter from being charged to court. I know for a fact that you're all very brilliant investigators, and your focus should now be on investigating accurately the first set of matters that will now get prosecuted under the new CPA successfully. I will entreat you all to treat this crash training as a model that you will all can use and replicate to your colleague investigators. And I thank you all for listening. Thank you very much.
We want to thank the DPP for stating the facts as they are. But one thing that is very clear is that the success of the prosecution lies in the quality of investigations. And this is why we are here, because we are investigators. Like I said, we are considered to be the most important chain. And the SNP is going to be the main investigating authority, and it's going to be so for the foreseeable future. And we all know if you are working for government, you should retire at 60. So it's like the CP was working for government and it is now retiring. Also at the age of 60. Yes. So this is also important. He said there is no way to manipulate the law with the new CPO. Keep this one. There is no way to manipulate the law with the new CPO. Procedures are clearly defined and must standard and must be followed. No more manufacturing of evidence. No more manufacturing of evidence. Thank you, sir, Mr. DPP. And let me now move on to the second gentleman of Star Police, in the absence of the IGP, who is DIG Sir Lombasa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Our Honorable Chief Minister, the Minister of Justice, we have the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Former Chief Justice.
The Honorable Chief Minister, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the former Chief Justice, Director of Public Prosecutions, members of the Executive Management Board present here this morning, members of the Fourth Estate, course participants. Apologies for the absence of our revered Inspector General of Police. He would have loved to be here this morning, but he's very busy with very important security matters. That is why he's not there. But to show that this very training is very key and important, that is why even though he is not there, but I'm here to represent him. Even today marks a milestone in the organization and by extension, it's very central for what is unfolding here today. And that is a strong deviation from the old criminal procedure act of 1965 to the current one that is taking place. It's the year of 2024. We as an organization, we are very much key with capacity building. We believe that training, capacity building, acquisition of skills and knowledge is very important in our organization. Because if you have the requisite skills, you have the knowledge, then the sky is always your limit. You can be able to perform well in various areas of deployment, just like you being the investigators. So that is why what is unfolding here this morning has to do with the new CP of 2024. It is a paradigm shift, a strong break from the old CP of 1965 to the new CPA. Of course, you all heard what the previous speakers have said. Great emphasis have been made to quality investigations. Because believe me, if the investigation of any matter is not good, then definitely the prosecution is going to be as well as good. And that is why over the period, we have had a situation wherein the office of the people will say, you have to do this thing and come back. And at times when those matters go to the court, there are a number of challenges. So that is why this very important training has to be taken the whole heart. When you get knowledge, go out there and serve as ambassadors to the other personnel, to other investigators. You should serve as ambassadors. When you go there, teach them what you're going to learn from the new CPA. to show that this very truly is very key and important in our society. That's why you have no less a person than the Chief Minister. Yeah. And you have the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. You have the former Chief Justice. And those from the legal authority. So yeah, very serious, very important. Don't just go and put the information on your table and just forget about it. No. Because otherwise you are going to be embarrassed. When you investigate the matter that is not properly investigated, you are going to be embarrassed. And if you are embarrassed, you will embarrass the organization. And if you embarrass even the nation, because at times you be privy or you have the opportunity of investigating, have to cut across boundaries. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Inspector General, I want to thank the Minister and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice for speaking the name at this very important occasion. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, DIG. We've heard from second gentleman of the police. He said the SSG believes in capacity, not transfer and acquisition. He emphasized on quality investigation, which is very key as well. And he urged all of you to replicate the knowledge you are going to gain here to your colleagues. We have more than 65 investigators, so which means we expect you to do a application of say to your colleagues that must take the knowledge gained here to improve in our work. Don't come here and go and do that which you are not expected to do. Improve on your work based on what you are going to gain here. Dear sir, we thank you for your short message. We move the program forward. Like I initially said, if you read section 64 of Act No. 6 of 1991, and referring to the Constitution, it provides for the office of Attorney General. On this note, let me invite Attorney General, only Attorney General and Minister of Justice to make a statement.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It feels good to be here this morning for the start of this very important exercise. As you have heard from Justice Brahmak, this has been a very long process, so we are glad that we are here. So with that, I'd like to say that Honorable Chief Minister, my Lord, former Justice, Chief Justice Brahmak, please kindly allow me to stand on existing protocols, as we like to say in Sierra Leone these days. So this is definitely to give recognition to everyone on the high table and of course to you all who are here for this very important exercise. I really want to start by thanking the leadership of the police, from the Inspector General of Police to the Deputy Inspector General of Police, the Head of CID, Director of Training, Head of Crime Services, etc., etc. Thank you all for really facilitating this important session, and we're glad that this is not a one-day exercise. It's something that will go on for several days. We'll target this large group, but also we'll look at other officers who are not in this room today. I also want to thank the Chief Minister for supporting this process. I think I go back to the moment when I was appointed Deputy Minister of Justice, when we started this discussion. In his office, we actually said, let's put this within the President's 100 days plan. And we had come out of discussions, with the President himself, who said that let's really push to reform the justice delivery process. Let's have a justice system that speaks to the needs of the people. Let's have a justice system that is humane, that is informed by our own humanity. We had that discussion, and after that, the Chief Minister convened a meeting and said we have to prioritize this. And so a process that had gone on for about 20 years, was taken to conclusion. And I also want to thank the former Chief Justice, Justice Brahma, for his commitment to this process. I like to say that if acts of parliament or like various pieces of legislation carried the names of individuals, this particular act will be named after Justice Brahma. Because this has been his life's work, and I think in the group of persons who really started working on this going back to 2005, I think, when the first committee was set up. He is the person who has accompanied this process, not only to completion, but now to rollout. I think I want you all to join me in giving him a round of applause. Thank you, my Lord. Of course, JSCO, the coordinator is not here, but the Justice Sector Coordination Office has been really central to this. Really immense thanks to JSCO and then to other processes, including civil society groups like the Center for Accountability and Rule of Law, the Bar Association. They've all been really central to this. And also, I want to say special thanks to the Director of Prosecutions and his team. They are starting on some heroes in this process. There's Mr. Ahmed Bokari, who's sitting at the back, who has also been really central to this process. His commitment to see this process to completion has been immense. There is Mr. Jallo up there at the back. Mr. Ba is there. There are other persons who are not in this room, and of course, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Usman Kanu, my brother. Thank you to the entire team for driving this process and for getting us to this point. It really says when the President gives directives, and we work together, we are able to deliver on those directives. But this is very important. What we're doing here today, it's important for the President because it actually responds to his own call that this process should be completed and that they should be part of the government's reform agenda. So yes, it is important for government. It is important for the justice sector, the justice delivery process, but really most importantly, it is important for the people of this country that we are designing a justice system that will respond to their needs. The justice system should serve the needs of the people. We like to say these days that as a country, we should look at justice as service, just like we look at education, just like we look at health. When people go to school, they know what to expect. When people go to the hospital, they know what to expect. If someone goes there for headache, they know that they're going to be given medicine for headache. If someone goes there for surgery, they know that they'll be taken through a procedure. This procedure will last for this long. The recovery process will last for this long. They go in without expectation, and the service providers, doctors, nurses, or teachers, respond to that. That is how we should see justice. Let's look at it as service. So when the public, members of the public engage with the justice system, they have expectations. If someone comes to the CID, they should know that the investigations will not last forever. They have expectations of a specific time within which they will be there. And so that is on you to make sure that that service is met. When someone has a matter that goes to the magistrate court or to the high court, they have expectations. They should have expectations. So that is service. And when we put all of these systems in place, the one thing we'll have to work on as a unit together, we'll have to put together like an essential package for justice delivery. That is, when someone engages with the justice system, through that package, they know exactly what to expect. That should inform their decision making, so the person knows whether a particular matter should be taken to mediation or a particular matter should be taken to the police. A particular matter after engagement to the police will go to court. And this is what I expect from the court. I expect to be there within 1 week. or to be out of it within 1 month. So but it's on us to make sure that these things happen. Because the one thing that we don't pay attention to is how all of these impact our daily lives. Because we say that when someone, say a carpenter in Kingston, gets caught in the justice system and is there for long, then the carpentry shop is going to shut down. When the carpentry shop shuts down, the breadwinner of the family has been affected. And then that affects the family. When it affects the family, the kids probably drop out of school, they're out there, and then within a short time, they're in conflict with the law. It becomes additional burden for you. But then, if that carpentry shop has 10 other workers, now we've affected 11 families. That is how we should look at this. So note that if the Minister of Finance were here, he will probably talk to you about how these things affect the economy. Because these things, now then the oil, the grain and butter, in the country. So let's really have that in mind. So with these processes, including what we're doing with the CPA, like I said, we're designing a justice system that should serve the needs of the people, respond to the needs of the people. Through this, we expect that the system should be efficient, it should be transparent, and should be accountable, as Justice Bramaka said, and as, others have said, and as you'll hear during this training, this system is also going to hold all of us accountable, from police investigators to magistrates to the law officers department. Myself, the DPP, and the entire team in my office will all be held accountable. And of course, when you go to the courts, to say at the level of the High Court judge, it will be the same thing. So it's supposed to ensure that there's efficiency, there's transparency in the process, but also there's accountability. It is also our belief that the CPA will meet the needs of modern society. Yes, it captures a lot of the issues that we face in investigations and prosecutions in modern times, how we handle electronically generated evidence, but also how it's tied to the rights provided for in the African Charter on Human and People's Rights or the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So it's a human rights mechanism, so we're all really going to be part of it. But another important thing that we should note is there's supposed to be trust between members of the public and us in the justice sector. So it starts with you as the first responders. It comes to us. If we implement this well, then we close that trust deficit. When you close that trust deficit, members of the public want to come to you when they have issues, because they know that you are going to respond. If they can't come to you, if that trust doesn't exist, it means members of the public are likely to take the law into their own hands. Then there's chaos in society. It becomes a problem for all of us. But if you even want to make it personal, it means when you're moving around in your neighborhood, the chances of somebody saying, that policeman and we don't need permitted, you're treated with respect. Because, we have all worked together to build that public trust. So all of this really starts with you. That is why we're really excited about this training. And note that this training is not going to be restricted to you. It's going to be extended to magistrates, to judges, to lawyers. Right now we're doing the same in our office for State Council, but also for members of the Bar Association. So we're grateful that you've made time for this. Let's embrace this with the utmost seriousness, and let's not look at this training or this exercise as one up. Learning is a continuous process. So at the end of this exercise, take this knowledge back to your stations. If you have questions, you can always ask your colleagues, you can ask your superiors, or you can ask us. We will continue to provide this guidance we really intend to shepherd the rollout of this process. So on that note, I want to thank you all for making time for this. I want to thank your leadership, and I wish you all very successful training over the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. AG, our AG, for your statements. And of course, we all know, we said, we thank the leadership of the SFP for bringing to fruition. It's all important thing. Indeed, it is all important thing. And then I acknowledge the efforts of the former Chief Justice in getting this new CPA through, and all others who contributed to reach thus far. He said the new act, he noted that the new act is important for government, justice system, and the people of Sierra. That the justice system must serve the needs of the people. And that we should see justice as service. He asked us to put together an essential package for justice delivery, clearly identifying a kind of step-by-step processes and procedures. What is also very important, they said the system is going to hold all of us accountable. So whether you are a policeman, a magistrate, a judge, all of us are going to be held accountable. So which means you have your part to play it well. And this is why you are here. And the issue of trust, you also mentioned the issue of trust between the general public and the judicial system. He said there is trust deficit. That one leads to what? The members of the public taking the law into their hands. And we really want that to happen. On this note, I want to thank you, sir, for your statement. And then we finish the high point of this program. And don't forget, by protocol, when we have the guest speaker speaks, I'm not going to do what I'm doing now to go over the statement he's going to make. So this is like more or less my last opportunity. So on this note, let me invite the Chief Minister of the Republic of Sierra Leone and the person of David Money and Zenia PhD. Let us stand up.
Thank you, please have a seat as you stretch. I see some people stretching. Good. Mr. Chair, members of the distinguished high table, trainees, but more importantly, our frontline workers in the line of justice, good morning. Today is a very special day for me for two reasons. One, as Chief Minister, one of the first directives of His Excellency President Julius Maada when he appointed me as Chief Minister was to ensure that the Criminal Procedural Act that will deliver it for the people of this country. And I remember one of my first meetings with the Ministry of Justice then, the Chief Justice, and the Speaker of Parliament, and everybody, was on how we would implement the CPA. And I will speak to some of the things that His Excellency has consequently said and delivered on when it comes to matter of justice. Personally, I'm a champion of what we call radical inclusion. I wrote a book called Radical Inclusion Towards a More Just Society. For me, I live and breathe what we do as individuals for building towards a more just society. But it's not just me. These two things are linked. What President Bio wants his government to do, what I want, I'm a very lucky guy, I won. Because in the state opening of Parliament, the third session of the second, of the sixth Parliament of the Second Republic, just last month, His Excellency said, and I quote, "My government is committed to building a just and inclusive society." Today, we're here precisely because that commitment of His Excellency is what we are all implementing. Because this is a democratic government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we're not here talking party politics, but we're here talking politics of development. The police should not be propagating party politics, but the police and the people who are in the line of justice should be promoting development and should be ensuring that we deliver a more just and inclusive society for the people. And before I go into the specifics of why all of this matters for us as individuals, globally, Sierra Leone occupies a very enviable position in the World Peace Index. You can't have peace if you don't have justice. The reason why we are a peaceful society, and I was talking to the DIG earlier at the Met, why the police occupy a great and respectable position in the community is because we all collectively work towards a more just society. And these traits, from way before to now, are to ensure that you, the police, who are mandated to protect us and to help serve us with more justice, can do that with the instruments that allow you to do that so you can sleep peacefully in your communities and we can also sleep peacefully in our communities. Sierra Leone also, at the global level, as we know, occupy a position at the same time, this small country, on the UN Security Council, on the African Union Peace and Security Council, and is the chair of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. We also serve in the UN policing. For our country to be participating and leading in these global peace and development fora, for our country to have men and women who are serving, and not only serving, winning national and international awards. The UN Policing Awards for last year, this year, was given to a Sierra Leonean police officer. It's because we are taking these matters very personally as individuals, but also very importantly as a government. We heard that it took 60 years for us to have a new criminal procedural act. But even more importantly, it took 20 years for this act to be developed, improved, and brought forward. I'll tell you that perhaps it is better today than it could have been in 2018. It could have been better in 2018 than it would have been in 2012. But the single most important reason why we today have a new criminal procedural act is thanks to His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, and I'd like all of us to give him a round of applause. It takes leadership and commitment to what people say to be able to bring a process to completion. It's not just about having good ideas, it's about making decisions, not in your own personal interest, but decisions that help make your country better. And this is not random. over the last 7 years, we've watched His Excellency repeal the criminal libel law. We've watched His Excellency remove the death penalty from our laws. We've watched His Excellency implement the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act law, which also has tremendous advantages and brings justice to our women and people who've been marginalized in our society. It is within the framework where we have introduced a new cybercrime law. Now listen, in 1965, there was no personal computer. When they had a computer, it would fill this whole room up. That's how big a computer is. But today, many of you have computers in your hands. The AG has a computer in his hands right now, taking a wonderful photo that you couldn't have taken with the best cameras 5 years ago. These personal computers that we have in our hands only became available commercially in the 1970s. So imagine how society has changed for us to be still bringing justice to our fellow men and women using the laws that existed pre-personal computers. This is also within the law reform that we've seen the AG develop a diversion mechanism, a diversion platform where our children and minors who come in conflict with the law are given an opportunity to grow, participate in society, get correction, whilst having justice be delivered. I say these things because the context of a more just society in Sierra Leone is not theory. And when people say, "Una so they deliver," you don't able to count waiting removal of death penalty mean. You don't able to count waiting mean for men women all over this country able to get land and able to snap and go court for themselves without man double near them. You don't able to count waiting it mean for say who criminalize the law in our country. You don't able to count for no waiting it mean for make who begin them when at 11, 12, 13, when a victim them, when them they treat them as perpetrator and put them in hardened criminal there. You don't able to count waiting enemy because as His Excellency said, justice delayed is justice denied. And this particular act, now that they precisely in the try to address. No delays, reduce bottlenecks, get to a fairer and just decision as quickly as you can. And this is also within the legal environment and justice reform framework that the AG and his team are working on, where mediation becomes a law, where bail proceedings are obvious and evident for everyone, where they are digitizing the process of going for police investigations to judicial actions. But I want to end by speaking about how important today is and why this training, and many of you have learned from the DIG and from the DPP and team that you will be trainer. This is a training of trainers essentially, because there will be a manual that will be developed. And when that training finishes, you will be using that manual to also help with your colleagues moving forward. And I'm very pleased and I want to thank the AG and his team for ensuring that everybody in the justice sector chain, in the cadre, from paralegals to legal aid board to lawyers, and thanks for working with the Sierra Leone Bar Association, who will bring all of its lawyers together, for the police investigators, for the magistrates and judges, and everybody will be trained on this new law. And we will continue to monitor the process to ensure that we give you feedback on how you're doing so that we can all learn and develop a new mechanism. But here are some numbers I want the citizens to think about. The primary goal of this new CPA is that maximum nobody who goes in contact with the law should take more than 1 year. We have heard stories and we know people who have been in court for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Because my office is like the ombudsman's office, somebody yesterday, a former judge actually, came to my office to give me a folder about a matter that has been in court for 15 years. This is a former judge who's now in my office to say I should help him settle a matter that has been in court for 15 years. And that's not the longest we have matters in court. Imagine that the commitment we as a government is making today is that starting September 16, no matter should be in court for more than 1 year. Now clap. Because I don't even know how to compare 1 year to 15 years. I don't even know how to compare. The other day, last year, the AG, myself, and many of our people went around this country paying fines for people who were in conflict with the law. And in those instances, we learned that some people have been in prison for more than 2 years with no trial. That's not justice. That's not a society that will be peaceful. What do you expect that young man or young woman to do when he or she leaves prison many years later? So number one, no matter should last in the justice system for more than a year. And I'll break that down into specific numbers. Police are expected to complete investigation between 3 to 10 days. And 10 days is for the real big offenses. Between that time, or in addition to that time, the pre-trial proceedings for committal has to take 28 days, 1 month before don't do that. Add it up, that's 38 days. And once they commit it to a judge, the CPA holds everybody accountable that that trial should finish between 180 days, 6 months. In total, everything going according to plan. No investigation, no trial, no contact with the law should take more than 218 days. Far more than the 365 days though. That 218 to 365 Napoleon. But this new day that will start, we heard our chairmans, or I think one of our speakers spoke about, it took us 60 years to get here. Now we're starting on a new journey that will make our society more just by ensuring that the work you do, from the work you, the front line with investigations do, to the work the DPP and his team does, to the work the AG and his team puts forward with the IG and everybody, to the pre-trial, to the trial itself, that process can happen within 218 days. And that's a beautiful thing that we can all look forward to, because you heard from what the former Chief Justice said, that before the witnesses, if you finish even taking witness information, you spend 2 years. So I want to end by saying that this training that we are so grateful, former Chief Justice, that you and your team and the police and the AG's department, the Ministry of Justice are putting together, shaped by 60 years of experience, including 20 years of developing this law, will happen. Hopefully not through another 60 years, but we'll finish this process quickly and document it before September 16 and start implementing this when the new sessions begin. And I'll end by reminding you with a quote from His Excellency, and I'll add one word in there. His Excellency said, less than a month ago, my government is committed to building my nation a more just and inclusive society. And on that, I will assure you and Sierra Leoneans that yes, indeed, together we are delivering. Thank you very much.
Stand up, man. Sit down. We have to be grateful that we have